I'm Addie. I'm on TikTok as DJ Hungry Human. This is the Plant Shop Pod. And many of you are probably joining me after my appearance on Juicy Scoop. And some of you may be joining me from my appearance on Whitney Cummings' podcast last week. So welcome. Very happy to have you here. I think there's like 300 new subscribers, which is awesome. And before I forget, and while I'm on the topic, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, like and subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you want me to cover, what I missed. I'm very open to, the topics that you guys want to cover, because I can talk about basically anything. On this podcast, I'm thinking I'll let you guys know about like the Juicy Scoop pod, Whitney's podcast, what happened in LA. And then while I was in LA, like there was a lot of stuff that broke that I've talked about on TikTok, but I haven't like really gone into length about. And that's the It Ends With Us drama. I'm completely reinvigorated by this, especially with the text message dump. I want to talk about the Beckhams. I want to talk about Erica Kirk's Zoom call, which is like cringe beyond belief. Of course, that's what we've come to expect from Erica Kirk. And then also Aaron Taylor Johnson. I've wanted to talk about Aaron Taylor Johnson for a long time, but there's a new extremely cringe video that everybody's talking about. So it's a good time to kind of discuss him and his creepy wife. And then I'm excited about the Grammys this weekend. So I'll definitely do like a Grammys review episode. I always forget, like I love award show season. So good. Anywho, all right, let's talk about LA. So Heather had followed me a long time ago on TikTok and had asked me if I wanted to come do Juicy Scoop. And I had a trip planned to LA in January, because that's kind of when, that's sort of when I'm slow at work. So I do some traveling in January, and I was going out there to see a couple of my friends. So it worked out perfect. And we had talked like the Friday before, and we were just kind of talking about like different topics we could discuss. And it was kind of like loosey-goosey because there was not much going on, honestly, that there's like lulls in this. And I told Heather, I have mad respect for people who do like, I really should be better about doing at least a weekly show, but it's hard to even do a weekly show sometimes when there's like nothing going on. So Heather's great because, she has 2 episodes a week, I believe. And, she always keeps it moving. So I was excited to just kind of talk generally about different celebrities with her. And then obviously like over the weekend, we had like all sorts of stuff breaking. So I think we talked about the Beckhams, which was like a huge story. We talked about It Ends With Us. But we really did get blessed by the gossip gods. I was like, thank you, because it's not often that you get so much A-list drama anymore. We used to have a lot of drama all the time. It was like, that was the good old days. And now people are pretty smart and they keep things pretty tight. So it did work out well, because it was exciting. And I was like reinvigorated by the Beckham drama, which I guess we could talk about that first. And by the way, let me get back to LA. So I went on Juicy Scoop on Wednesday, flew in Tuesday, went on Juicy Scoop on Wednesday. I really didn't have anything going on Thursday. And so I texted Whitney. Whitney's followed me from like the breaking of like the It Ends With Us drama. And so we used to chat about that. And so I happened to be in LA, obviously, and I had like really nothing planned. So I hit her up. And then we ended up making that podcast happen. So that was really fun. And it was cool because Whitney's was a little bit, if you haven't seen it, it's like a little bit less structured. So that was fun. And obviously I've been on Dana Bowling's podcast before, but we just like Zoomed. So it was cool to like be in studio. It was also very nerve wracking. I will admit, I was nervous about Juicy Scoop just because it's like, I don't know. I have a regular life, so I'm not like, hopping on podcasts all the time, but it ended up being really fun. And I think that, people had nice, positive things to say about it. So that was awesome. What was the hardest part about the planning of that is trying to find an outfit to wear. Okay. I looked for like 3 weeks because you just like, you don't know. And for anybody who's new here, I'm very vain. I care about being good looking and I care about good looking people. So it was a lot of pressure. And I went to the mall like 400 times. There's nothing at the mall. Okay. And my biggest issue with the mall is that after Sophia Richie became a thing, everything at the mall is like beige, white, black, gray. Every single store has the same shit. So anyways, I looked for 3 weeks. I found a fucking outfit. And then I did get my makeup done in LA. Imagine, I was so LA, but it's because I'm not good at makeup. And the thought of being on camera, like, you just don't know. I feel like the camera like really like washes you out. And it was like right before I was like PMSing so hard, and you're like, you feel like the ugliest person alive. So, I did like a panic makeup appointment, which I never like wearing a lot of makeup. I'm not like a big makeup person, but the girl was like so nice. When you're nervous about something and then you're like going to get your hair done or your makeup done or whatever, and then like the person that, is doing it is like so chill and the vibes are so good. So it was awesome because the girl was like super nice that did it. And like that the makeup artists have tea. Okay. And I wouldn't say what she told me, but that's like the behind the scenes stuff is fascinating, of course, to me. And so we had like a really good chat, and then obviously did Juicy Scoop. That was great. It was awesome to meet Heather. It's so nice that she gave me the opportunity to come on, and I'm hoping that I'll be on again next time I make it out to LA. And then again, I did the Whitney pod, which was like more low key, and I think I didn't have as much time to be nervous about it. And then when I got back here, I'm in Massachusetts. We got just like decimated with snow. So it was like a lot of catching up. I wanted to do a pod to like update you guys on all of that, but I was snowed in. And then I have technical problems. Anybody who's new, I'm always bitching about my technical problems. I'm not good at that shit. Anyways, all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Beckhams first. Let's get the Beckhams out of the way. Nicola and Brooklyn, they did not play this well, okay, for the long term, because what I think is going to happen is that Nicola is going to eventually dump Brooklyn. Like when you see videos of them, and I watched a bunch of videos. I have a video that I'm going to show you. When you see videos of them, you can tell that he likes her way more than she likes him. And I think that Nicola was mostly drawn to the fact that he's famous and from a very famous family. That's why she dated Anwar Hadid, which I would like the glow up relationship wise from Anwar Hadid to the Beckhams. That's measurable. Okay. Like that you would much rather be a part of the Beckham family than the Hadid family. They got a lot of drama going on. Okay. Remember Yolanda was beefing with Zayn. She said that he like pushed her and stuff. They're messy with the PR. So it was better for Nicola to latch on to Brooklyn Beckham and become like a member of the Beckham family, because they're going to be a lot more tight-lipped, which is what we're seeing in how this played out, right? What I've liked about this entire feud is that the Beckhams have stayed quiet and they've just business as usual with them. Okay. They've been posting like family pictures. They always look good. Okay. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a long time. So they've been kind of just ignoring these two. Right. And now that he posted on his stories and just aired them out with so much detail, they're just continuing on like that was a new pick. And so is Nicola. Nicola is continuing on. This is a new post from her. She did a photo dump. Yes, girl, give us literally nothing. She's continuing on. The person that's really going to bear the brunt of this drama is Brooklyn Beckham when he eventually gets dumped by Nicola. Okay. So yeah, that was not advisable. If I was advising these people, I would say, no, keep your mouth shut. But obviously she wanted this to go on. Women keep a tit for tat list of everything that that's ever happened to them, how they've been wronged in situations like this. So you could tell that this was a long time coming and that she had probably been pressuring him for a while to like make a public statement, because they kept leaking, in my opinion. I think that they were the ones that were leaking to the New York Post. And obviously, if you've been following like celebrity gossip for as long as I have, which is like since it became like an internet thing in really the early 2000s, you can tell who's leaking stories. You can tell which side leaked the story. So they've been leaking to the New York Post. I think that the Beckhams leak to the Daily Mail, in my opinion. So it's been brewing for a while, because who's checking on Nicola in Brooklyn? Beckham. Peltz. They have the hyphenated name. Or is it Peltz Beckham? Who fucking cares? Anyways, I shouldn't swear so much, by the way. Whitney Cummings said that. It's a problem on YouTube. Anywho, I'll try. Nobody's checking on them. You know what I mean? So anytime that there's stories that are written, there's a reason, and it's probably because it's coming from their camp. So I think that they weren't getting the type of attention that they wanted to get from the leaked stories. And they said, all right, let's just air it out on your Instagram stories, which is crazy when you are a member of a family like that, and they're a global brand. And speaking of that, I did want to talk about how he was saying that they were trying to pressure him to sign the rights to his name over to them before the wedding. And to me, that seems like they were probably trying to protect him, like if this didn't work out. Because I would imagine, had he retained the rights to his name and he's not too bright, I would think that they might jump on that, because the Peltz family is, I mean, they're worth $1.7 billion or something like that. And speaking of money, I don't know if you saw, somebody reported that she gets $1 million a month in allowance, which is wild. It's also interesting because if you followed along with the drama that went on with the wedding and the wedding planners, her family ended up suing the second set of wedding planners that they had. They had 3 in total. The 2 girls that they sued were in between Preston Bailey and the people who did end up producing the wedding. When they sued those girls, and I believe that the girls then countersued them, like some of the text messages came out between them and Nicola. And, you know, spoiler alert, she was a nightmare. What a surprise. She was trying to hide costs from her dad, like the cost of like hair and makeup and stuff. So it's interesting, because it's like, if you're getting $1 million a month, maybe you could cover the cost of your own hair and makeup, but whatever. I want to show you a video, and this is kind of like the vibe of all of their videos. Again, where he seems to like her a lot more than she likes him. And also, keep in mind that like Brooklyn Beckham is not very bright. I don't think she's very bright either, but I really think that Brooklyn is like a dum-dum. Like if you've ever seen his cooking videos, he doesn't season anything. Like the recipes that he does are so basic. Like I'm sure that you know that he went on the Today Show and he made like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. This is a level we're working at. Okay. So I do think that his family was trying to protect him, and now, you know, he's in Nicola's clutches. So let's watch this video.
When I knew that I was in love was when I said earlier about me coming out here for Halloween, and a week later I had to go back to the UK, and all I was doing that whole 11-hour flight was just looking at pictures of us. So probably on that plane I was like, I'm going so many miles away from the girl that I love. Probably then.
I love you. Yeah, I love you.
I thought share toothbrushes. Is that weird?
You were going to say that. You didn't have to out us like that.
Is that weird?
His grandparents did that. It's not like an everyday thing. It's just like, it's there. We gotta go.
I just don't really pay attention anymore. I just grab whatever's closer.
I don't have a nickname for you.
I call her darling all the time. We don't call each other like sweetie.
Sweetie.
Pumpkin. No, there's none of that.
Please do not call me
It's like honey, darling.
Sweetheart.
My bird.
Oh no. I hate being called a bird. It's so weird. Like, I still don't get it. Why?
Because you're my bird.
You're my dog. I'm gonna call you my dog.
I don't know. They don't have a lot of charisma. That's why she had to marry a rich guy. I mean, I'm sorry, a famous guy, because she really does want to be famous, and she's not giving much. So you do have to link up with a famous person so that you can, leak stories to the New York Post. Because if she was married to some random, nobody would care. And she's been trying to make herself happen for a while. I guess she got nominated. She's been in like 3 movies, and like 2 of them got nominated for a Razzie. She did. She wrote and produced and acted in a movie called Lola, and the Beckhams did show up to the red carpet for her. And so did Elon Musk. It's very, very strange. But yeah, she's been trying to make herself happen for a while. And so she had to link up with Brooklyn Beckham, which seems like torture for her. That wasn't even one of the worst videos. Like, most of them, he's fawning all over her, and she's just like, I love you. It does kind of make you feel bad for them because they're just not bright. But we will see how all of that unfolds. Like I said, my prediction is that eventually she dumps Brooklyn Beckham, and then he's completely alienated from his family. Maybe they'll forgive him. The problem is that they've kept such a tight image. And you have to do that when you have a global brand like that. They're not like Peltz level rich, so they're still working. And obviously their brand for a long time has been this tight family unit. And that's not good. It's not good to have your stuff aired out like that. I will say that when you are somebody like Nicola Peltz, and like strong personality, want to be the matriarch, you can't go into a family that already has a strong matriarch. This is kind of like the Meghan Markle thing, right? Where you think you're bigger than the program, and you're not. You're not bigger than the program. You're not going to assert yourself over somebody like Victoria Beckham. You're never going to win that battle. So this was probably inevitable. And that's not to say that some of the stuff that they're alleging like didn't happen. I'm sure it's probably not the most it probably is a difficult situation. However, you're going into a difficult situation, and then you're being difficult on top of it. So it's like you have to be a kind of like a chill, go with the flow person to be absorbed by a family like that in a way that's going to like keep things functioning happily. And I don't think that was ever going to happen for them, because Nicola wants to be the star, and it's like, you actually don't have any star qualities. So I don't think that that's going to happen for you. Anyways, all right, let's get into It Ends With Us. I was very bored by this story. Like, I was done with this story because it's like, there's a lot of lag time in between some of this stuff. And there hadn't really been anything new or interesting until these text messages leaked, or they were like, they were released by the court system or whatever. I'm sure it was like a Freedom of Information Act type thing. I didn't look into how they got released because I was also in LA. So I'm like in LA when all of this stuff is going on, and I was like really busy there because it was between seeing my friends and then doing the podcast. So I really, until the last couple of days, like I haven't really had a chance to kind of like dig into these text messages, and they're so bad. Mostly because Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively just love hearing themselves talk. They think that they are the most interesting people on earth. I don't know how they're like a match made in hell. Like, they're very similar, but I don't know how they function in a household together. It's like, how do you guys get a word in edgewise? And if you read through these, and I'm doing that on TikTok right now. I don't know if you guys have seen I did 2 parts of Blake and Taylor's yesterday. I did 1 part of Ryan Reynolds, but I'm going to keep going on that. It's just, it blows up their whole story. And so it's very interesting that Blake had absolutely no self-control. She could not take the L. She could not accept that the internet like didn't F with her. So she sued Justin Baldoni to try to like prove that it was him. And because of that, now all these text messages are released that prove that what we were all assuming happened and what Justin Baldoni was, quietly hinting at was accurate, right? Like I do think that Blake Lively must have really embellished and probably made up a lot of stuff, because I don't understand the reaction from Ryan Reynolds. Like he is very angry. And then like Taylor Swift involving herself in this. Like I have to believe that there are voice memos that we'll never hear where she was just making up a lot of stuff, because none of this makes any sense. Like he didn't do anything. There's nothing that he did that would have warranted any of this behavior. Although I will say, I'm going to read this to you. Somebody commented on one of my TikToks and said, and I want to look into this. They said, there are people that have put the entire timeline together with all of the parties / non-parties involved. Once done, it became clear that Ryan flipped when Justin turned down the rewritten script that Blake presented as her own, but Ryan actually wrote. He took it as a personal attack that he, and then in parentheses, Blake, was told no and went on a warpath from then on. And doesn't that make a lot of sense? Doesn't that make a lot of sense? They really thought that they were going to steamroll this guy, and they had been doing it from the beginning. Blake had been doing it anyways. Like that voice memo or voicemail that was released where she's asking Justin Baldoni to move up the filming, the entire production by 2 weeks so she can go to London. Like they really thought that they were just going to work this guy. And then when he turned down the rewrites, I could see that then they completely spiraled out of control because they weren't going to get what they wanted. So yeah, it seems like all of these text messages and emails, text messages that should have been emails, are kind of, they're proving his case. And what's interesting, and I'll have to look into why, it's interesting that his countersuit got dismissed. So maybe what will happen is, they go through this entire suit, which I think that they will end up settling. I really do. They go through this entire suit, and then maybe he comes back and he sues them. It's possible, because there's so much evidence there that there was this collusion behind the scenes to, try to destroy him. And again, there's like really nothing he did. It seems like they just didn't really like him. And so they were like, we're going to torch him. Although obviously you guys know, if you follow me on TikTok, like from the beginning, I've been like, she liked him and he wasn't reciprocating. She wanted to be fawned over. She wanted him to fall in love with her and then just, do whatever she wanted. And it just wasn't working out that way. And I'll remind you that like when my TikTok really started blowing up, it was when I covered the story about her being mad that he went to the trainer to ask how he should pick her up. So I think it was like, this is just a complete, like, they're destroying their own career due to their enormous ego. And I do think that Justin Baldoni should make a movie about this. The plot of this movie, in my mind, reminds me of like the early 2000s movies, like Can't Hardly Wait, 10 Things I Hate About You. Like, imagine he makes a movie about like this evil starlet that's married to an equally evil actor who public facing is this like nice, funny guy. He plays a funny superhero. She links up with like the biggest pop star in the world. They're besties. They're mean girls. And then they all go after this guy to try to like take this movie away from him. And they almost win. And then in the end, he gets vindicated. And the whole public is with him. Do you not think that would make for a great movie? Because the It Ends With Us movie, well, like that was always going to be a corny movie. So it's like make an early 2000s style movie that's like a comedic take on this entire situation, because it's so ridiculous, the whole thing. And I love it so much. So I am happy that like this happened, and I'm completely reinvigorated by it. And again, I love that it proves what we all thought and what we've all been saying. I will say that in terms of the way these people text, listen, if my text messages ever got leaked with like me and my friends, I would get canceled probably, but I almost think that the text messages would be so funny that I would then like be immediately uncanceled. When it comes to these people, it's like, they're not funny. They're not clever, although they really think they are. The length of the text messages are insane. It's like, these people have no self-control. I can't imagine what it's like to like imagine being an assistant and you just like wake up like at 8 a.m. and you have like 400 text messages from Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds. Cause a lot of these communications were going out at like 2 a.m. And it's like, I hate waking up to long text messages. It's like, too long, didn't read. And only crazy people send you text messages that long. It's like, edit yourself, learn to edit yourself. I will say, as I comb through these, I feel like for every like 6 long, crazy text messages that Blake Lively would send Taylor Swift would send like 3 back. And not to defend Taylor Swift, because I think that this is like her whole shtick, and this is what she's been doing for like, I'm manipulative and no one knows it, like behind the scenes type shit. I think she didn't really understand like the truth of what was going on. I think that she was blindly believing everything that Blake Lively said, and then got whipped up by, you know, her ego and her desire to just like destroy people behind the scenes, especially men. And she went all in on it. And now it's just like, I can't imagine what she's thinking. She's probably like, why did I ever become friends with this girl? What did you get out of this? Nothing. You got that. Remember when Blake Lively went to the Super Bowl and she was dressed like so ridiculous? She had that like big fro-y, like dumb hair. She's wearing like the Adidas suit with like the 8,000 pounds of gold jewelry on. She was like performing. You know, we owe a lot to Justin Baldoni because he broke that up for us. You know, we're not going to have to see that again. Thank you, Justin Baldoni. I do think that he needs to release his cut of the movie, although it would make Blake Lively money, and I don't like that. But I am curious to see, like, the movie would have been corny no matter what, but I think it would have been, like, easy to watch and, like, you know, a good throwaway movie for girls to go see and, you know, to watch at home on a Friday night or whatever. I said I read the book. So, you know, this was written in the stars for me. You know, I would never read a Colleen Hoover book on my own, but I happened to read that book, and then all of this happened. And it's like, you know, I have to thank Blake Lively for being so ridiculous, because it's given us a lot to talk about. Anyways, all right, let's move on to an equally ridiculous person, but in a more, imagine being even more sinister than Blake Lively and having she has more annoying hair than Blake Lively, and that's Mrs. Erica Kirk. Oh my God. So she's an interesting specimen, isn't she? You know how people always like talk about lizard people? She would be a good example of somebody that, you know, if somebody asked me to name somebody I thought might be a lizard person, it would probably be Erica Kirk. If you have missed it, Candace Owens, who I can't watch Candace. She's just like 10 minutes of every show are like interesting. And then the rest, she's just on some like insane tangent. Like I watched her in Baron Coleman because I really like Baron Coleman. And some of it was really great. And then she'd get into this like, you know, ridiculous stuff. And I'm like, can you just focus? You got Baron Coleman there. But anyways, she's been kind of going after Erica for sure. She released a Zoom call that took place, I believe Candace said 5 days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And so she's speaking to, I would play it for you guys, but it's like 5 minutes long. She's speaking to the staff of Turning Point, and she's like telling them that their jobs are safe and, you know, their family, and Charlie would be so proud of them. She has to stop herself from saying that he would be happy, because it's like, no, girl, I don't think he would be happy about all this. You know, being taken out in front of the whole country, and then the way you've been acting, it's a little weird, Erica. Anywho, she seems elated, you know, as she always does during this phone call. And I can't imagine being like one of the staffers that was on this call. And thank God we always have a few shady people, because they recorded it for us and then obviously leaked it to Candace. And for that, I thank them. But yeah, it's very strange. It's like, what's going on with this whole thing? Who thought that Erica Kirk could be like the face of all of this? She gives very bad vibes, you guys. I don't know. These people have a problem with discernment, I guess. But anyways, I did want to mention that. You know what was funny? I don't know if you guys saw my TikToks about J-Lo, but somebody in the comment section was like, Erica Kirk is jealous of this outfit. She wanted to wear it to her husband's memorial. And I could see that. Isn't that crazy that would be in the realm of possibility? You know, we are 30 days into 2026 and it's been quite a ride. But yeah, J-Lo, this is probably on Erica Kirk's vision board. I will say that. That woman has a lot of black lacy outfits ready to go. All right, let's talk about Aaron Taylor Johnson. Do you guys know Aaron Taylor Johnson? He's very hot. Let me see if I can pull up just a picture of him. Let me see. Oh, God, this is a bad picture to show you, because this is what he looks like right now. He's had this haircut for a while, and I didn't want to comment on it because I was like, maybe he'll come to his senses, but he hasn't. He still has this terrible haircut. But let's look at a younger picture of him. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's very good looking, and you know that I like that, has a 23-year age gap with his wife, Sam Taylor Johnson. Okay, so the picture on the left is when they met. He was 18 when he filmed this movie with her, which who cares about the name of the movie? 17 allegedly when they met, and he was cast for the role. And they started filming when he was 18. A year later, to the date, she says, to the minute that they met, he asked her to marry him, and he was 19 and she was 42 years old. And when they met, she was going through a divorce, and she had 2 kids. She was 41, he was 18. So a year later, they got engaged. They have 2 kids now, and they've been together this entire time. The picture on the right is a more recent picture of them. Okay. As a 40-year-old woman, the thought of dating an 18-year-old would never cross my mind. So obviously people have had a problem with this for ever since they first got together. And, you know, their whole thing is like, why are people so fascinated by this? Because it's extremely creepy. Okay. Because it's very, very creepy. I used to wish that Ariana Grande would do us a solid, especially after what she put us through. Like, you guys know that the Wicked press tour was a very dark time for me. I don't like thinking about that or remembering it. It almost put me into a psychosis. I was hoping that she would link up with these two, break them up, and then we could have Aaron Taylor Johnson with an attractive person that made sense for him. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And now he looks like this, and it's really creepy. Like, I think like probably 6 months ago, I saw a video of him where he was like doing like the Zoolander shit. And I was so turned off by it. And I was going to do a video about it, but then I was like, I'm going to give him time to maybe be seduced by Ariana Grande, maybe come to his senses and cut this hair. Sometimes I feel like women like this like for their husbands to look uglier than necessary. So I do feel that she's probably behind this look. But I didn't talk about it at the time, and now like people were saying like tagging me in TikTok and stuff, and they were like, you need to comment on this Aaron Taylor Johnson video, and it is really bad. So without further ado, oh, wrong one, hold on. Should we watch it again? Can we watch this again? I can't. I hate that. I talked about it the other day. Like Justin Baldoni, it's such a breath of fresh air because we don't get a lot to look at as women anymore. Like in the early 2000s, I was led to believe that like all men would look like Heath Ledger and like Josh Hartnett. And I was sold a lie because there really aren't that many like really attractive guys. That's why they're always trying to convince us that like ugly guys are hot. And I'll always resist that. Like I like a conventionally attractive man. And that is what we had with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Of course, they have to have the hyphenated name. Anyways, that's what we had with him. And I always thought, I was like, this relationship completely held his career back because nobody wants to cast him and then have the entire press junket about the fact that he is in this creepy age gap relationship that started when he was like way too young. And I don't think, obviously we don't see this happen very often with men being the younger one. And especially that young. It's usually like, you know, an older man with like a younger woman. But I think even, and they get a little bit more leeway, certainly historically, but I do think that if it was like a 41-year-old man that was like going after an 18-year-old girl, like that would be an issue. Like people would be talking about it in the same way that they talk about these two. And again, like they're the type that like make their relationship like a news story. And then they're like mad that people talk about it. Like, what did she say? She said, this is funny. Sam said that Aaron got along with her kids from her previous marriage and it all felt strangely normal. Maybe because he was kind of close in age to them. He was probably closer in age to them than he was to you. She says that they didn't date while working on Nowhere Boy. That was the movie that they met on, but she felt a strong connection to him. You need to go to therapy for that. Okay, because it's creepy. It really is. But yeah, they don't like people talking about it. And now, like what people are saying on TikTok about it, like the spell is broken. Like we no longer have a crush on Aaron Taylor Johnson. And it's true. But like I said, for me, it was like 6 months ago. I was like, this is not looking good. We have a finite amount of time to save this. And now after that video and just him in general, like this is how he's been on the red carpets and stuff. It's like, okay, you jumped the shark and now your creepy wife can have you. No one's trying to save you. We're not sending Ariana Grande in to save you. Also, by the way, speaking of Ariana Grande, whoops, that's not Ariana. Speaking of Ariana Grande, I was like so mad at myself because I forgot to comment on Ariana at the Golden Globes, and I had the picture ready to go. I don't know if I'll be able to find it now. Anyways, we don't need to look at the picture. You probably remember. It really wasn't that memorable, actually, so maybe you don't. All I wanted to say about that was The switch up is wild. Like that she got away from Cynthia Erivo and now she has brown hair and she's talking normal again and she put on a few pounds. She still has the stupid tattoos, but it's like, I do kind of believe that story that she has some sort of multiple personality disorder issue, because it does. It's like you're a new person every time I see you. Thank God that was just such a long haul with that terrible, like the wicked personality. So I was happy to see her dressed normal and talking normal and with decent color hair. I will say I heard that she does her own makeup. She has makeup people that will like touch her up, but she does her own makeup, and so I don't know why she's had this terrible pale makeup. Maybe she'll slowly improve on that. But they did get snubbed. They got snubbed. They're going to get snubbed from the Oscars, and that's because nobody liked what they did on the press tour. It's funny because Hollywood is so fickle in that way. Like, people get really up in arms about like who wins things and who doesn't. And it's like, I don't know why anybody puts any weight on that. Once Cardi B won Rap Album of the Year, it was like over like Mac Miller and who else was, I wish Mac won because that was a sick album and that was the year that he passed away. But they gave it to Cardi B over like I want to say Kendrick Lamar and Mac Miller, and it's just like ridiculous. I don't know why anybody puts any sort of merit on that anymore, the way that they pick and choose. But I do like that they are punishing Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande because that was just way too much. Okay, so I wonder if she'll be at the Grammys. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the Grammys. I like the Grammys because it's formal in a way, but they always dress a little bit crazy. And they're all going to be really insufferable on the red carpet. That's the vibe of this year, you know? It's just like they're all insufferable. They're really leaning into it. They never absorb anything from internet culture, which it's like it's probably tough, but it's like go online, you know, absorb it and pivot. They can't pivot. You know who I will say pivoted is Jennifer. Why am I blanking on her name? Jennifer. Oh my God, I'm completely blanking on her name. Jennifer. She was just on the Amy Poehler pod. Jennifer Lawrence. It hasn't even been a long week. Jennifer Lawrence, she did a pivot. I don't know if you guys noticed, but she came on and was like, I was very annoying and I'm sorry. And I like that, you know, it's like people need to learn to pivot. Blake Lively couldn't pivot and look at where she is now. And so that's what's kind of interesting. And I did talk about this on Whitney's show is like, there's obviously this push for authenticity. And you know what? Next week I'll talk about why am I blanking on everybody's names? I'll talk about the one that broke up her marriage for Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde. She was talking about authenticity. It's so funny because celebrities like really are like confused by the thought of being authentic. And they're like, how can other people do it? And it's like, just stop being so fake. Anyways, it's interesting because there's this like big push for authenticity and they're struggling with it so much and they're sort of angered by it, it would seem. So I do find that very funny and it will be interesting to see like, you know, how the drama this year plays out now that people are so it's like a spell has been lifted. You know, we can see these people for who they truly are. And I do think that scares them a little bit. So anywho, all right, I think that's the show for today. Remember, like and subscribe and then comment. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to cover. We'll talk about Olivia Wilde next week. And, you know, I'll keep my eye out for anything interesting. But if there's anything that you know, you want discussed, do let me know. And let me know if you watched Juicy Scoop. Let me know if you saw me on Whitney's podcast and what you thought about that. And thanks for joining me. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I look forward to the Grammys review. All right, bye guys.